Yo, what's going on, Goddess Networks? I read the comments that you left on my video, and I read some of the other comments based off of your comments. I forgot the user's name, and I don't know how to say it. And I don't want to, slander it. But I read those too, and I don't have a problem with what you said. I mean, at the end of the day, all you're doing is sharing how you feel. I don't view you in a different light, or I don't view you, to be standing in opposition to what I'm trying to do, because at the end of the day, I know what you're working towards and I know what I'm working towards, and we're both working towards the same thing. Our fight, right? What's going to make our fight effective is because we're going to have different perceptions, right? As a black woman, of course, you're going to have your own unique perception, and as black men, we're going to have our own. Now, they're going to be similar, but they're also going to differ in key ways. And how we differ is what's going to make our fight effective. Because there's going to be times where I'm going to walk into an argument or a battle, and quite frankly, I'm going to need your perception. And there's going to be times where you're going to walk into a battle or a fight against the enemy where you're going to need my perception, right? You're going to need to rely on how I view how things should be done. That's what's going to make our fight so dynamic and unique. We don't need to waste too much time trying to create a one universal type of viewpoint that incorporates black men and black women. They're going to be similar. There's going to be overlap, but there's always going to be differences. That's okay. At the end of the day, my viewpoints, as much as I am African American, my viewpoints and my perceptions come from the fact that I'm Nigerian, right? It comes from the culture that I was brought up in that was pretty much patriarchal. The man was at the top. And dudes who weren't necessarily doing what they had to do were outcast, and they were marginalized. So me growing up in a Nigerian household, but at the same time growing up in an African American society, kind of has me twisted. I kind of have to adapt to what's going on. I can't just apply what worked in my own Nigerian culture in terms of African American culture. I understand that. So I'm always open to being criticized. I'm always open to people having new viewpoints, and I actually do incorporate it because I know I have to grow. So at the end of the day, we're both working towards the same goal. The words that you left and the comments that you left were kind of hard to interpret because at the end of the day, they're just words. But all I can do is ask that you guys show some openness to what we're trying to say. That's all I can ask for you guys to do. And understand where we're coming from. I completely get you in terms of men have to step up. You don't need a woman to let you be a man. I understand that. But we're dealing with a collective level. My family's going to be okay. There's a lot of black men out there that are doing well, and their families and their moms and, all the other people who are in the family will be taken care of. But if we're trying to build a collective, we're going to have to cross over. So we're going to have to develop a code of conduct in terms of how we're going to operate. Right? How I operate in my own family may be different in terms of how you operate within your own family. So there's going to have to be a level of respect. There's going to have to be a leader. And part of being a leader is, of course, stepping up and taking leadership. But it's also about other people recognizing your leadership. Right? I've been on teams where, we have a captain, but the captain's not going to be effective regardless of how skillful he is and regardless of how much he wants it and how much he fights for it and how much he puts himself out there, right? He's not going to be effective unless the other teammates acknowledge him as being the captain. Not to say that the teammates are being put down, but part of being the captain is taking the thoughts of the team and putting it together to form a universal front. And if we're going to fight this battle, to bring the black community up, we're going to have to face dominant white America, which is led by men. It is what it is. And our fight is going to be weakened if we're having these battles in terms of who's the leader. I don't feel like black men have to fight black women for leadership. Now, granted, black men need to step up and earn it, but I feel like the women should do a better job at submitting to a black man's leadership, especially after he's earned it. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be us going toe to toe. He's not going to respect you guys, and that's just how he operates, right? I've talked about how the black community is different because the black community, since the ending of slavery, has always been pretty much a joint venture where black men and black women both had to do well in order for us to survive. But other groups don't necessarily have that same type of philosophy. They're more so, man is the head. I'm only going to talk to other men. Right? One of the knocks on Hillary Clinton in terms of her trying to run for president was how was she going to deal with all our other foreign relations? Because you're dealing with countries, you're dealing with men who only recognize other men, who are not going to sit down and take advice or take orders from a woman. And that may seem shallow, but that's how other people operate. So when we're dealing with issues that are internal, of course it needs to be more collective. No one's above anybody else. But when we're dealing with the outside world and we're dealing with white supremacy, there's going to have to be a natural deferral to black men. Because other men aren't going to entertain black women, not because they're black women, but because they're women. So anyways, I hope to, hear from you and other women to see how you guys feel. But at the end of the day, it's all love. There's no hatred. There's no anger. All I can do is share my viewpoints. And I hope that you guys respect, me for sharing my viewpoints in a manner in which I share them. Take it easy. God bless.